Need tools? We've got you covered. Go to ChromebookParts.com or click on the link below to pick up this sleek, portable toolkit. Underneath the keycap is a white piece of plastic, sometimes called a scissor clip. This clip attaches the keycap to the palm rest via 4 tabs, as shown. In order to remove the key, you need to pry the clip free from the tabs. When doing so, avoid prying in the center of the key, but instead work your way from corner to corner, feeling for the tabs and prying the clip loose. While this can be done very quickly, here's a slowed down example of how to carefully pry a key loose. Once you get a feel for the process, the removal can take only a matter of seconds. If you need to harvest one of the membranes, use a sharp, flat tool and scrape as close to the surface as you possibly can to make sure that the bottom of the membrane stays as flat as possible. This will ensure that the membrane seats properly into the new palm rest. To attach the membrane to the new palm rest, apply a small drop of super glue and replace the membrane. Make sure that you let it dry before attaching the key. Before replacing the key, make sure that all the tabs are standing straight up. Drop the key into place and gently push down to lock it into the tabs. For Samsung devices, the scissor clip is required to be in the palm rest before replacing the key. Make sure the scissor clip is properly oriented, then hook it into the bottom tabs and push down to snap the top into place. If you're having trouble, make sure the metal tabs are vertical and straighten them out if necessary. You can then replace the key by gently pushing down to snap it into place. There are multiple tabs on the spacebar that connect to the scissor clips underneath. Using your spudger, carefully pry around the corners to pop these tabs free from the scissor clips. If you're doing this on a good keyboard, be careful not to use too much pressure, as you don't want to snap off the locking bar that's underneath. This could cause damage to the tabs that hold the locking bar in place and make replacing the key impossible. Once you've popped the key loose a little bit, slide your spudger between the locking bar and the key and pry the locking bar free. With one side of the key free, gently use the spudger to pry the remaining locking bar free from the tabs on the key. If you need to harvest the scissor clip, use the same technique as on a regular key, and carefully pry at the corners to pop it free. For the locking bars, carefully pull on them to slide them free from their tabs. If you need to replace a scissor clip, make sure all the metal tabs are vertical and that the scissor clip is oriented correctly before hooking the bottom into place and gently applying pressure to snap the top down. To replace the locking bar, hook it into its tabs and make sure that it's perfectly centered. The spacebar has a correct orientation, so make sure that the tabs on the key line up with the spots on the scissor clip where they hook into place. Snap the bottom locking bar into its tabs and make sure that it's perfectly centered. Next, make absolutely sure that the top locking bar is perfectly centered. And gently push the key close to snap it into the top locking bar. If the key remains depressed, use your spudger to gently pry around the edges and loosen it up. If the scissor clip comes apart, you should still be able to put it back together again as long as the two nubs on the sides of it aren't broken. Do your best to fit those nubs into the holes that they slot into, and make sure that the scissor clip retains its hinge action. If you're having a hard time, it can help to use a tweezers to stretch out one of the pieces to get that nub to pop into place. For Lenovo and Dell devices, the keys may have tabs on the side of them, such as these shown. In this case, you're going to want to pry these tabs up first in order to loosen the key. Then you can work your way around the corners as usual, prying the scissor clip free. As always, make sure the metal tabs on the palm rest are straight and vertical. Place the key in at a slight angle to slot the tabs into place, and gently push down to secure the entire key. The Dell Ctrl Key is a great example of a key that uses many of the techniques discussed in previous sections. It has the tabs on the side, so you've got to pop those free first, then work your way around the corners to pop the scissor clips free. There is a locking bar underneath, like with the space bar, so if you intend to reuse the palm rest, be sure not to apply too much pressure when prying up. Instead, you're going to want to slide your spudger between the locking bar and the key, and pry the key loose from the locking bar. These scissor clips separate very easily, so you may have to put them back together. It's important to remember the orientation of the scissor clips, so be sure that before you remove any final pieces, you mark how they go in. It can be easier to assemble the scissor clip inside the key, as the key holds it in place while you put it together. Again, make sure the nubs lock into place, and that the scissor clip retains its hinging action. When the scissor clip is assembled, remove it from the key, hook the bottom into place on the palm rest, and gently push down to secure the top. Make sure the metal tabs on the palm rest are vertical beforehand, or straighten them out as you need to in order to get the scissor clip to lock into place. Attach the bottom locking bar to the key, and make sure that it's centered. Make sure the top bar is centered as well, then slowly put the key back into place, and apply a small amount of pressure to secure it to the palm rest.